live. What is going on, everybody? My name is Nikki Smokestrom by my co-host Bobby. You are listening to The Smoke Show. My computer decided to malfunction on me, so if I'm looking a little weird with the setup, we had to do what we had to do. Things happen in life, and you have to adapt. Or you could just do what Chris Grier does, and you have something that's working, and you just want to add more and more and more and more and more on top of it until you build a freaking juggernaut. And I think that's what he's doing right now with the Miami Dolphins. How are you feeling, brother? I know we had the live show. What was it, yesterday? Bradley Chubb, Jeff Wilson. How are you feeling now that you've had 24 hours to marinate in it?
Brother, I'm feeling even better than I felt in the moment. I woke up this morning and I had to go back to Twitter just to make sure this wasn't some weird dream I was living in. We're bringing in Bradley Chubb, an absolute monster of a pass rusher who, mind you, is great against the run as well, to pair up with Jalen Phillips, Van Ginkel, Melvin Ingram, Zach Sealer. It's getting scary, Smoke. It's getting scary is how I'm feeling. And then Jeff Wilson Jr. coming to the table to pair up with Mostert and reunite from San Francisco. I mean, dude, this is absolutely beautiful. And now we just got to go out and beat the Bears. Keep handling business. Trade deadline's over. No more acquisitions. Now it's time to stack W's. That's how I'm feeling.
Today's like the day after Christmas. When Christmas Day, you open your gifts and you're shocked. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I got this. And then the next day it's like, oh, bet, like I get to play my Xbox One or whatever the hell it is, or your new little go-kart. That's what today is. It's set in. It's like, whoa, we actually have these new toys. And one of them is an absolute menace. No disrespect to Jeff Wilson, hell of a ball player. He's going to play a big role in this Miami Dolphins offense. But we're talking about Bradley Chubb, man. I mean, what we gave up to get him, dude, we hit the jackpot. Easy. We hit the absolute jackpot. You gave up a first-round pick, a fourth-round pick, and a running back that couldn't catch COVID if you paid him to. And in return, you got back a fifth-round pick. You get Bradley Chubb, and then I believe they used that same fifth-round pick to get Jeff Wilson. That is a master class. A master freaking class. Jay, what's going on, brother?
I'm chilling, man. I apologize for being late, little 3 minutes late. Caught me off guard, but
bullshit.
I want to say, fired up Wednesday? Because I'm fired up, baby. I know it's usually fired up Friday, but I'm fired up right now. Shout out to Chris Grier. I think he is one of the most inconsistent general managers over the course of his tenure as Miami Dolphins general manager. But as of this past offseason, with Mike McDaniel, he's been fantastic. What we've seen with Chris Grier is that he's a guy who's going to do what the coach wants him to do. He's a facilitator. He's not a guy who's going to go and do what he wants to do. Obviously, well, he's a general manager, but usually he's going to ask his coach, what do you want from me? Like, what do you want from me? What do you want me to do? That's why under Brian Flores, we got a bunch of defensive guys. Byron Jones, Emmanuel Ogbah, Shaq Lawson. We paid big money to all those guys. Now with Mike McDaniel, he's going after the offense. He's a facilitator for what the coach wants to do. So I feel like it's not all on him. But obviously, over the course of his tenure as a Miami Dolphins general manager, has been very up and down. But, man, since this past offseason, trading for Tyreek Hill, signing Teron Armstead, Connor Williams, drafting Jalen Waddle, Javon Holland, Jalen Phillips, Tua Tagovailoa, and now at this trade deadline, trading a first-round pick that's going to be later, and, by the way, being sewered by his own owner by losing him one of his own first-round picks, he still finds a way to get Bradley Chubb, and he brings in a running back who will perform way better than any fifth-round pick will. That is a fantastic job, and I said this in my video, you have to give the general manager credit here. You can feel however you want about Chris Grier, again, over his entire time here, but in the Mike McDaniel era, he's been very, very good. He's been very solid, and honestly, I don't really see anything wrong with what he's done so far. So with that being said, like, I think we all have to give props to Chris Grier, even if you're not a Chris Grier guy. I think it's deserved.
All day.
And let's get cracking here, man. Let's get excited because I was thinking about it, and other than maybe after the Bills game, and that's still in this season, I've never been more happy as a Miami Dolphins fan. I know we've been to the playoffs before. Still didn't get me as excited as I am right now. I promise. I know that sounds crazy to say.
100%.
That's how I feel right now. Because we are on pace to do something the Miami Dolphins team has not done before. Actually, two things, which one is finding a franchise quarterback, and the second thing is winning a playoff game. There's a chance we go into a playoff game as a favorite. You know how wild that is?
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to get the fifth seed and then play Tennessee to do that.
But
we're not going to go to Kansas City or Buffalo and be a favorite. There's no shot.
Oh, of course. But I'm just saying there's a chance. Like,
But we're here with them, and that's why I think this Bradley Chubb thing was so big, because over there in Buffalo they have Greg Russo and Von Miller, and now it's like we got JP, Bradley Chubb, Emmanuel Ogbah, Christian Wilkins, Zach Sealer, Van Ginkel. I know I'm missing at least another 3 or
Melvin
4.
Ingram, lots of guys.
Raekwon Davis, Melvin Ingram. I mean, we might have the deepest defensive line in the NFL. Period. End of story.
Yeah.
And that's what you need, man. Because those pass rushers, man, have been able to cycle pass rushers like that in front presence guys, keeping them energized, ready to go, not out of breath, not tired. Just being able to say, oh, we're going to throw him in now and not lose an ounce of production. And then on third downs is where it's going to get crazy. Because on third downs, the options are endless. You put out some crazy package where you got 4 DNs on the field, kick 2 of them inside, quarterbacks are going to be worried, man. And that's what this Dolphins defense now has the capability to do. So I think it's the perfect move. I mean, you got to go all in at some point, and this team deserved it. Jay's been saying it the whole time. This team deserves help. They got the biggest help possible in the top name on the market, man. There wasn't any bigger names than Bradley Chubb. We went out and we got the top guy. And screw that first-round pick. Fuck them picks, man. You're not going to get someone that's going to be able to do what Bradley Chubb can do in the back half of the first round.
You have any idea how lucky you have to be in the first place to hit on a first-rounder, whether it's top 10, top 15,
Doesn't
top
matter.
20, top 32? You have to be lucky enough to just hit on one. So you could guarantee you give up a late first-round pick and you have a guaranteed top 10 pass rusher in the league. You'd pounce on that opportunity.
That's a position of value, though. That like that's
a top 3: quarterback, tackle, pass rusher, corner. Top 4.
Yep. Literally top 4, and those are positions that go high in the first round. This guy's only 26, and people are gonna say, and I talked about this too.
5.5 sacks there.
Guys,
pressures.
If he didn't have injury concerns, he wouldn't be available. Okay, when someone becomes available, whether it's free agency or they just don't. Like if they leave their team in any way, there's something that's going to be wrong with them, or else they stay on their team. If this player was fully healthy, he would have never been even on the move from Denver. So you have to keep that in mind, and you have to take chances. That is why it's the free agency market, and that's usually why general managers prefer to build through the draft, because you have so much player control on those players after the draft contract, 5th-year option, franchise tags. So it's not all going to be perfect. Don't get me wrong, because I've seen a couple people who are like, "Oh, what does this really do?" This is a game-changing move. This guy's a game wrecker.
Yep.
He's an X factor.
Absolutely.
This is a guy who can really help this defense take that next step. And I think even in 2020, when we had our best defensive season, we were all saying how we can't generate pressure without setting 5 or more guys. We have always been blitz. We've always been high blitz. I know that's the scheme. But wouldn't it be nice to send 4 people and get pressure? Because Xavier Howard is sitting on an
now
island.
we don't have to play cover 0 all day. And we can't play cover 0 because we have a banged-up X. We haven't had Byron. And we need to be able to get a pass rush with either 3 or 4 guys. We haven't been able to do that. And then if you go back and watch the Lions game, that was the difference in the whole second half. That and the Lions only touched the ball 3 times. But we played a lot of cover 3, a lot of zone in that second half. We kind of ditched that cover 0 in the second half, and I believe you're going to have to do that more. You're going to see it more. But when you have pass rushers like JP, Bradley Chubb, Ogbah coming in and out, Wilkins, Raekwon, you have all these guys, you should be able to generate those pressures, because right now we only have 15 sacks. And that's bad. That's not good, bro. That is not good. But I believe adding him into the mix is going to enable us to get after the quarterback and get those numbers up. But I want to talk about what Tua said today. And I don't know about you, but it makes me want to run through a damn wall.
3 great pressers today. Just want to put that out there. 3 great pressers today.
Tua's on a different level right now.
Salty Tua.
Different level. And let's just start with the bang. We are not afraid to talk about Super Bowls here. Not my words, not Bobby's words, not Jay's words. Tua Tagovailoa came out there today on his press conference and said, we are not afraid to talk about Super Bowls here in Miami. Mind you, this team hasn't won a playoff game in 20 years, but Tua's out here right now saying, we're not afraid to talk about Super Bowls. Yeah, we belong up there. We beat Buffalo this year. I'm first in QBR. I'm first in quarterback rating. Look at Tyreek Hill's numbers. Look at Jalen Waddle's numbers. Look at who we just brought in on defense. Look at who we just let go on offense. We are not afraid to talk Super Bowls in Miami. Bobby, how does that make you feel?
Bro, when he said that, I was fired up. Because usually it's like, yeah, you don't want to get too ahead of yourselves. Let's go move on to the next one, move on to the next one. But when you take a step back and look at this Dolphins team and this roster that's been constructed, you're like, okay, this team's legit. This team is really legit. All of a sudden, we're making moves like that at the deadline, pushing the chips all in per se. That's when you start looking at a team and you're like, well, these guys aren't worried about winning regular season games. There's something much bigger at stake. And there's moves being made that are going to put us in positions to play in these bigger games. And yeah, we're not scared to talk Super Bowl because every 32 teams, that's the goal for most of them, win the Super Bowl. That's why you play the league. Then you look at the reality of things, and a lot of those teams aren't built to win Super Bowls. It's not possible. You don't have the roster. You don't have the talent. You're rebuilding. You're doing this. You're doing that. But then you come over to this Miami Dolphins team, and they are stockpiling players, not draft picks anymore. Because in the past, it used to be, oh, well, we're not going to be very good. We need to get draft assets, draft capital. Let's rebuild this. No, not anymore. Fuck them picks. Them picks are gone, and we're turning them into superstars. So that fires me up. I think he's on point. And he's not getting out ahead of himself. He's not saying it's Super Bowl this, Super Bowl that. But we're not afraid to talk about it. We're not afraid to bring it up in the conversation. You better throw our name in the hat when you're talking about contenders at this point in time. So it got me fired up, baby. I love that shit.
I do too. And I think the question, obviously, as a reporter, they're asking, which I think is fair to ask, but it's like, he's not going to come in and say, oh, and by the way, we would get on him if he goes, oh, I don't know, we're just trying to make the playoffs. That's something we haven't done.
Facts.
Because, by the way, if we just made the playoffs, that would be a success because we haven't done that in 20 years.
No, dude.
Just wait. If we won a playoff game, that would be success for this season not in terms of us, but we'd be happier than we ever have been before.
Just making the playoffs is not acceptable.
No, winning a playoff game.
Correct.
Like, he didn't stop it at that.
That's my new bar. That's where I just reset the bar after the trade deadline. It's no longer make playoffs and we're happy. It is, this roster should win at least one playoff game. And that's the minimum.
Yep.
Realistically, this team should win one or two and maybe lose in the AFC Championship game, or maybe they fuck around and win. Look, I'm still going to give their props to Buffalo. That team is a specimen. Kansas City still Kansas City till they prove otherwise. But I think we close the gap a lot on Kansas City. I still think Buffalo is in another stratosphere right now. Although we're the only team that beat them. It is what it is. But do not just write off the Miami Dolphins. And back to your point, Jay, I believe the new bar after what we just accomplished at the trade deadline is the Dolphins must win a playoff game at this point.
That was basically my point. Is that's my point. Is that Tua inside the building, they don't even think that way. I think in the past we have thought that way. I think the last 2 years we were just focused on just making the playoffs, and now there's clearly a new bar because Tua literally said we're not afraid to talk about Super Bowls. We're not afraid to talk about winning playoff games. There's a new bar, and our franchise quarterback, the 5th overall pick, who we all wanted us to take to the next level, he's literally come in and said, we are doing it. That is what we are doing. So I just want to say shout out to him for not shying away from the question, not shying away from the media, and saying, yeah, put our name in there. Like Bobby said, put our name in the hat because that's where we are. And that's how I'm performing. I'm sure we're going to get to the next quote, which you said at the end of the press conference.
Best quote
he is confident. In my opinion. Salty to his back, and he knows. He knows what he's doing. You don't think, again, the Maria Taylor interview, he goes, I keep receipts. Receipts. You don't think he knows? He knows exactly what everyone's talking about him, and he knows he leads the league and passes down the field in the middle of the field. This guy's been fantastic. This guy has, other than the durability, has taken over every single narrative and flipped it on its head. You can't throw the deep ball. Done that. Yep. By the way, once you get to this whole cold weather thing, he's going to beat that too. Don't get it twisted.
That's a big thing, though. That's a big thing.
He's going to get a taste, bro.
He's going to get a taste. He's going to get his first taste this Sunday in Chicago. The wind's supposed to be 15, 20 miles per hour.
Has he done anything to make you nervous? To be honest, I'm confident. I'm very confident. And also, we saw that.
The only thing I'm nervous about is that dumpy-ass Chicago Bears field. I just don't want anyone getting hurt.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just
that's
excited.
That's probably the only thing I'm really worried about.
Do you want to bring up the clip of the salty Tua, the deep pass? Because we can get to that right now based on what we're talking about.
I wish I had it saved on my computer so I could play it for everyone.
Okay, then we won't. But basically, he's just saying, like, how about them deep balls, huh? I'm paraphrasing. That's not a direct quote, obviously. But basically, that's what he's saying, tongue-in-cheek, kind of saying. He literally said subtle jab.
Bobby, see if you could get it pulled up. Because I only have one monitor right now. My computer's all messed up. See if you could get it up, but we'll talk about it. So basically, the reporter asked Tua, what's one aspect that you think you've worked on and seen improvement. And he goes, well, I guess the deep ball looks pretty good, doesn't it? And he's like, it's a jab. He's admitting he's throwing a jab at the reporters. And look, he's allowed to talk his shit. I think, what is it? What is he, first in average yard per attempt or completion? I don't know. Something
Average yards per
stupid like
pass.
that.
Yeah. Basically, he's throwing the ball down the field more than anyone in terms of average yards per pass. So this guy is not checked down to it, which again, so funny that he got that reputation when it's really Justin Herbert who's checking it down a lot. I think Austin Eckler leads the league in yards after catch or something near that. Like when your running back's getting 16 carries, that's tough. Bobby has it pulled up on his phone here.
Or just play the audio in the mic.
Huh? Don't we think? Yeah. That was probably a subtle jab, but it was a jab. Huh? So I would say
all I want from him next time is just lean into it, man. Just lean into it. You don't need to say it's a jab. We know it's a jab, baby. We know. You don't need to do that after. But, man, I'm just excited because Tua's confident. He clearly feels supported after you give up that first-round pick. And I think he's felt supported ever since Mike McDaniel came in. He said himself word for word that he's felt supported ever since Mike McDaniel took over as head coach. And I think that's fantastic because we've seen what happens when this guy has confidence within him, because confident Tua is a different breed, man. This guy is going crazy. He's accurate. Like, when you see the all-22, some of these lines, though, like I was talking about, they look easy. But then when you get the film, man, some of the stuff he's doing on the RPO, some of these angles and tight windows that he's throwing into are ridiculous. Yep. These are throws that if it was made by other quarterbacks, they would be getting national attention. But unfortunately, he throws left-handed, and he's in Miami. So that's why he doesn't get the national attention right now. But he is truly taking over. And speaking of salty Tua, a guy who like really brought in that term was Rich Eisen, who just came out and said he's elite, which is really cool to see because he's one of the guys who has been up and down with Tua and I think has been relatively fair with Tua Tagovailoa. And it's funny to see all these national media people switch their opinions on Tua Tagovailoa, even though it's like this is kind of what he was doing last year, but like we all knew he didn't have anything to work with, but you still shat on him then. Even though now they're saying Herbert doesn't have anything, so he's allowed to not perform as well as he or as poorly as he has. But it's so funny with the Herbert stuff because it's pinpoint directly like what we were saying. Like they're talking about the OC, they're talking about the O-line, they're talking about the receivers, which is so funny because those are the exact talking points we talked about. But either way, I just think it's great that Tua's playing the way he's playing, and it's really funny to see the people flip-flopping in the national media because they do everything on live television, everything's recorded. So you see what they've said in the past. Yep. They clearly are just
the best is Colin Cowherd. The best is Colin Cowherd picking like Baker Mayfield, Carson Wentz, like all these bums over to
Sam Darnold.
There you go. Just absolute bozos. He's taking them over. He's picking them over Tua. I love cocky Tua, salty Tua, receipt taker Tua, whatever the hell you have to call it, because you need confidence in a quarterback. You got to be the alpha dog, and he's finally walking out there with his chest up, throwing jabs at the media, and he's telling you, yeah, I'm throwing jabs in your face, brother. I'm throwing jabs in your face, brother. What are you going to do? Just eat them, eat them, eat them, eat them. Because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just keep jabbing, and proving everyone wrong. And so far, that's what he's done this year. I mean, I just believe the only thing that he has to still accomplish is play the rest of the year. Because other than that, he's given me no reason to doubt him because he has been unbelievable. When he plays and finishes the game, undefeated. I love my quarterback walking up there with confidence.
He's checking every box. Every box that these haters had for him, he's just checking them off one by one by one. The only one, like you just said, Smoke, is that durability, is that ability to play all these games. He's already missed some this year. Let's keep it rolling, though. As long as he plays the rest of this year, like you said, this guy hasn't lost a game that he started and finished. He deserves to puff that chest out. He deserves to talk that shit. He deserves to start bringing some of these receipts up, dude, because he's really doing it right now, and I love it. Like, you want him to exude this confidence. You think when Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen wake up in the morning, they don't think, oh, my God, my shit doesn't stink, I'm the man? That's exactly where I want Tua, and that's exactly where Tua's going, man. So I love it. I love the confidence. It's just the best, and he's playing with the confidence. He's not just acting like it. He's not just sitting up in front of the media. He is playing with this newfound swagger, and you could see it, like Jay's saying, these reads, these progressions, these RPOs, the way he's moving defenders with his eyes and just throwing the most beautiful balls, is unbelievable. So give me all the confident, cocky, salty Tua you can get, and let's just keep winning games because that's what Tua Tagovailoa does.
You know what I love? My favorite part about that whole press conference, I mean, it's really not my favorite part because the man said, we're not afraid to talk about Super Bowls here. That was my favorite part. And then I would rank the jab my second favorite part. So I guess it's really my third favorite part, but I think it means most to me or him, if that makes sense. They asked him, I think it was the deep ball, or they asked him something else. And he said, the only thing that I care about or what I have to prove to myself is consistency. And that's the word that we all brought up, consistency and durability. And he knows that, yeah, I know what I did against the Lions. I need to do it again next week against the Bears. I need to do it again against the Cleveland Browns. I need to do it again against the Texans. I need to do it against the Niners, the Chargers, in Buffalo, Packers, Jets, or Patriots, Jets. Consistency. And to be honest, I think I wrote down his numbers. He hasn't been that inconsistent. Was he rusty in the Steelers game? Sure. He looked great against Baltimore. He looked fantastic against the Lions. He made plays to win us the game against Buffalo.
In 20 minutes,
we had the ball. He threw the ball like 15 times in that game. Week one Patriots game was whatever, but other than that, so week one, whatever. Week one. Week two, unbelievable. Week three, only threw 15 passes. Week four, concussion, only played a quarter and a half. Miss game, rusty, balled out.
It's crazy. And even in that Buffalo game where he only completed however many passes he did, play of the season came in that game. That bomb over the top to Waddle, that is the play of the season for the Miami Dolphins this year, in my opinion. I think most people would say the same. So even when he's not putting up these high-volume, gaudy numbers, he's making the plays that are determining the outcome of games. We've said this so many times, we want to win games because of Tua, and we are
right.
Doing
I'm not a stat guy either. My quarterback could throw for 100 yards, but if I'm watching the game and I'm like, dude, he made 5 insane throws to put the game away. That's what I care about. I care about what? Third down efficiency. Who's number one in the league? Tua Tagovailoa. He has the best passer rating in the history of the NFL on third down. The history of the NFL. This man is playing at an elite level right now, and you have to accept that. Whether you love him or you hate him, when he plays, we win. When he plays, we get first downs on third downs. There's nothing to complain about. 12 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. He's got the same numbers as Herbert, 1 less interception. He's played 2 less games. This is all we could have asked for.
2 games and 3 quarters. Like the Bengals game, he played a quarter.
2.7.
2.7.
That's what he missed. He missed 2.7 games. This man is doing unbelievable things. So, the Dolphins, they get Bradley Chubb. They get Jeff Wilson. Is this their sign to Tua, like, hey, you are our guy?
Yeah, and they asked him that in the thing, too. They said, how does it feel that they're trading away the first-round picks that at one point we thought was the insurance policy in case the quarterback doesn't work out?
It was a Tua insurance policy.
Fuck that insurance
policy. Gone.
You don't need an insurance policy when your quarterback's doing things Tua is doing. Do you think teams like I just referenced, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, do you think they're worried about an insurance policy for their quarterback to go? No. When you get your guy, which I firmly believe that we have got our guy, you don't need insurance. The only thing you need him to do is stay healthy, and as long as he does that, we have the franchise quarterback without a doubt. There's no questions to be asked anymore.
If it's not locked in that he's here for the next 10 years, he's locked in for the next 2 years. That's guaranteed now. Guaranteed. And 3 weeks ago, we were talking he might not be. As long as he finishes out the season, 100%. This guy's guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Well, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. If he gets hurt again, regardless of how he plays when he comes back, he's still here guaranteed for the next 2 years?
For next year, yeah. No, for next year, for 1 year.
Next year, 100%.
We don't have a first-round pick, yeah.
That's the only way I don't see Tua being the quarterback for the next 10 years.
Yeah, literally.
Is if he gets hurt again. That is the only thing. Because when he's on the field, he's been phenomenal.
And Chris Grier talked about it. Sorry to jump in. Chris Grier literally said, and I love hearing this because this is fantastic. It clearly shows that they have a macro look of this team. He literally said word for word, I love what they're building together. And he was referring to Mike McDaniel and Tua Tagovailoa. And I did
about the relationship.
And I was comparing it to Breeze and Peyton. We have our 2 guys who are building around, because when you take a look at teams from an off-season outlook and you just look at teams on paper, you think good defense, good head coach, good quarterback. That's usually what you think about. And we have 2 of those things, and 2.5 of those things, maybe 3 if Byron comes back. And I think that we have a young head coach who is a player's head coach. It's not like we're dealing with a Brian Flores or someone who's out of the loop. This is a guy who, with this whole now player movement, the whole thing with now players can request trades. It's a very player kind of biased era that we're in, kind of decade that we're in. Mike McDaniel understands that. He knows that. He comprehends that. But he also knows football. And we have a young quarterback. So we have our duo for the next 10 to 15 years, and you keep building around that. Jalen Waddle's still young, man. I know a lot of our guys are veterans.
We got a window, man. We have a window. We have a 2 to 3 year window to win the ship.
No, but then you can just keep rebuilding. Rebuilding is a bad word. You can keep
reloading.
Reloading. That's the word I'm looking for. Reloading. Because Waddle's still young. Phillips is still young. You just keep reloading that older talent. It's fantastic. I think we have built this team in a way that is sustainable, which is huge. We're not just built to go on one playoff run and then we'll see. We're not the Jacksonville Jaguars that 1 year where they had a fantastic defense, then all falls apart. This is built for sustained success while also trying to win now. And that's kind of exactly what they had in mind when making the Bradley Chubb move. This helps you win now, fantastic, but it also helps you years in the future.
And the beautiful thing is the better the Miami Dolphins get, which you're seeing the ascend. We're still going up. We're on the roller coaster ride. We have not hit the top yet. This is still an upward moving cart here. As it keeps moving up, all you're going to want to see is guys come play in Miami, man. You know how all these good teams will get like the 1 year veteran deal, come play with me, chase a ring? You don't think guys want to come to South Florida, sign a veteran minimum and chase a ring? All it's going to do is get better. Seriously. Because once you start winning playoff games, and then at the beginning of the season, it's like, oh, well, the Dolphins are
I'll take a pay cut.
You want to take a pay cut and come live in South Beach and have no state income tax?
You know how many players take a pay cut to come down and play with a good quarterback or a player-friendly head coach?
It's all
or
building
a team
up,
that's
man.
already built to win.
It's all building up. The foundation is there.
Income tax. I mean,
I'm not saying he's not going to get paid. You don't think Jalen Waddle might take a $2 million pay cut to just keep playing with like Tua, like type shit? Like, I'm not saying that's exactly the scenario that's going to happen, but that's what you'll see. You'll see guys like, I'll take $2 million less so you can go add a Melvin Ingram. Like that. That's what we're going to see happening. And I'm very excited to see it happen. And man, again, the positivity that's reigning through like the Dolphins community right now.
Glad you just said that word, positivity. Mm-hmm. In the press conference, they asked Tua about his relationship with him and Mike.
Oh, this is really funny.
He's just like the most positive guy I've ever seen. He's almost too positive, where it's like he'll come over and he'll say something and just try to be too positive. And Tua's like, yeah, I just give him a little head nod. And then I go over there and he's like, I just start grilling myself with my quarterback coach. He's like, yeah, for sure, Mike. He's like, I got to isolate myself. He's just too positive. He's the most positive guy I've ever seen. Isn't that insane compared to what we had last year?
Yep.
Like, remember the Flores
flipped the switch, man.
At the Tennessee game?
Oh,
Can you imagine what was said in the locker room if Tua's hard on himself, and then you see how Flores was? I can only imagine what was said at halftime in that locker room. The difference between McDaniel and Tua's relationship, well, the difference between Tua and Flores and Tua and McDaniel, it is night and day, man. And to the point where Tua said, he's almost too positive for me.
And I love that, man. Breed that positivity. It's good to have critics, and it sounds like he's got that. He can go to his quarterback coach and try and get some of that different feedback. But when your head coach is the most positive guy in the room, just speaking into existence these good vibes, everyone's fired up, everyone wants to play for him, it's a beautiful thing, man. How far have we come? Tua didn't want to be a captain last year because that meant an extra meeting a week with the head coach. He didn't want an extra meeting a week with the head coach. Like that's crazy to say.
They were on speaking terms, right? That's what happened with Grier and Tua. This guy was on speaking terms with them. That's why he got fired.
And now we got Tua calling the head coach up at 11 p.m. at night just to check in, just to make sure his day's going all right and everything's good and well. Like this is actually it's crazy and it's beautiful to see because
now they just got to keep winning. They got to do their job and keep winning. We got 112 people watching live. Thank you guys so much. If you haven't already, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. We're almost at 4,000. We need your help. And shout out Danny Dean. My 10-year-old son, Daniel, went to the ER today, and many Dolphins fans have been praying for him. Good news, Daniel has appendicitis, early stage, and will have surgery tonight. We are praying for you. We are glad you have some good news. I will definitely keep you, your son, and your family in my prayers tonight. God bless you. You know the Miami Dolphins community. We will always be with you. So glad you got some good news out of that, and thank you for tuning in during these crazy times. God bless you, Dan. I almost called you Dad. God bless you, Dean. All right. We heard everything that Tua said, that McDaniel said, that Grier said, and we saw the actions that were made. Let's talk Super Bowl. Do you think it's realistic for the Miami Dolphins to win the Super Bowl?
I mean, is it realistic? Yeah, it could really happen. 100%. My answer to that question is yes. Is it probable? Now that's where you start saying, I don't know. There's some really good teams in this league, 2 of them being in our own conference. So you know it's not probable. Look at the odds. If it was probable, the odds would be a lot different than what they're at. But is it possible? 1,000%, man. All you have to do is get into that dance. And then once you're in that dance, the playoffs, anything can happen. You've seen teams like the Bengals just last year. People weren't in the middle of the season saying, "Oh, Super Bowl. They're going to the Super Bowl. They're winning the Super Bowl." What they did is they went on a run, they peaked at the right time, and they put it all together. And this Dolphins team 100% has the possibilities and capabilities to do that. So the answer is Super Bowl possible? Absolutely. 100% yes.
I agree with everything that Bobby said, and I actually want to defend like what he said because people are going to say, "Oh, it's not probable." I'm not going to lie. Even for the Buffalo Bills, it's not probable. We've seen teams as good as the Patriots lose to the Eagles. Once you get in there, it's all about what happens in the playoff
and
game.
lost to the Giants.
Yeah, the Giants went on a miracle run as a wild card team. You just got to get in the dance. You just got to get into the dance. You got to get hot.
Look at the Bengals, bro. No
Exactly.
one picked the Bengals to win the AFC
Well, that's what I'm
last
saying.
year.
So is it possible?
It was KC
Yes.
or Buffalo. That was it. Whoever won that game was going to
That's it.
win the AFC championship, and they were going to go to the Super Bowl, and they were going to win.
Yep.
That was everyone. No one in a million years thought the Cincinnati Bengals would go to the Super Bowl. And look, I think Bobby summed it up perfect. Is it possible? Hell yeah. Because we could beat anyone. You look at the Bills' record, who's that one? Right
Us.
here. The
Already
Dolphins.
did it, man.
Save those excuses. Oh, we were banged up in our secondary. Okay, so when we go to the Jets game where we didn't have Teron Armstead, Xavier Howard, and 2 backup quarterbacks switching in and out because one got concussed on the first play, does that mean that the Jets shouldn't have won that game and we should have won that game? I mean, come on, bro. Josh Allen played, Stephon Diggs played, all those boys played. We held them to 19 points, won the football game. So yeah, we can go out there and we can hang with anyone on any given Sunday. The Ravens, I know they're notorious for blowing leads now.
Who started
They
that?
might win their division. We beat
No, but
them.
who started that? Us.
We did.
Yep.
No. I just want to add to the point where my point is.
Last thing. Wait. Last thing. It just hit me. We can win in the playoffs. Mike McDaniel, he's been to a Super Bowl. Let's look at the teams that he's beat this year. Bill Belichick, Harbaugh, McDermott. Who did he
Tomlin.
beat? Oh, Mike Tomlin. Dan Campbell, whatever. Still, 4 out of those 5 guys are going to be in the Hall of Fame most likely.
And this is the craziest thing about it all. We have not put together a complete game yet.
Really quick,
it still hasn't happened. Go
I
ahead,
just want to say
Jeff.
this before we get off the point, because I still want to get out that because we're not saying it's not probable. It's not probable for any team. You will not say that Bills are probably going to win the Super Bowl. In no world will you say they have an over 50% chance. That's like probable, right? You're not going to say that. It doesn't matter. Once you're in the dance, anything can happen. So when Bobby says, "Oh, it's possible, yes, but probable, we'll see," that's every single team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Again, the Bills are favorites. They're saying, yes, it's possible, and they're probably saying it's very possible, but they're not going to say it's probable. They're not saying it's more likely they win than not win. Are you kidding? Guaranteed. So while it's possible and not probable, that goes for every team. So like I think we're right in there. And if you list the top 7 Super Bowl contenders, we're in there for sure. A million percent. Especially after adding this. Because even if we didn't add Bradley Chubb, we would still do that. And now just getting back to your point, Bobby, and I'll let you go after this. With Bradley Chubb, maybe we'll have that complete game. We haven't had that complete game yet.
Wait. I got to stop you at that part. Because I got to tell you what, I didn't think we were Super Bowl contenders until after we signed Chubb. I mean, did you think that Lions game raised the bar? Because it didn't raise my bar.
Oh, yeah, I should take that back. Bradley Chubb put us over the top. Right. I still want to win a playoff game, though. That led to a Super Bowl.
Look, Ogba sounds good on paper, but the production hasn't been there. You look at the Bills, they got Greg Russo, Von Miller. Now we got JP and Chubb and Ogba and this whole defensive line.
Also, sorry, you want to talk about defensive ends? Everyone talked about the Chargers in the offseason because they brought in Khalil Mack next to Joey Bosa. Well, guess what? RJP's Joey Bosa. Obviously, he's not there yet, but that's what he's doing. And we just brought in a guy who's putting up basically the exact same statistics as Khalil Mack this year. There's a graphic out there. You can go see it. I think Chubb actually has 3 more pressures than Mac, but 1 less sack. They're like identical. They even have like similar amount of tackles. So we have an edge rushing duo, which, by the way, we're talking about the Bills and the Chiefs, how they're on that upper level. You know what Bradley Chubb does? He evens the playing field because he's a guy who can get after those guys. And by the way, we were talking, and I said this in my because I wanted to make sure this was what we're talking about, because Bradley Chubb's a big boy. He's a physical guy. Do you understand how many sacks we miss against Josh Allen because he just shrugged our guys off? You're not doing that to Bradley Chubb.
Though, like no one can.
No, you're not
Josh.
doing that to Bradley Chubb. You're not doing that to Bradley Chubb. I guarantee that. If he gets both hands on you, he's bringing that guy down.
Remember what Josh Allen did to Kyle Van Noy?
Yeah, but Van Noy is pussy.
I'm just saying, but like that was like the softest thing I ever saw. Like he got fucking bullied. That ain't happening again, though.
It can't.
Give me your AFC power rankings. I know I just threw the curveball, but I sent it out on Twitter. And this is why people need to start giving us our respect.
I already got it.
Because I'll give you Bills and Chiefs for argument's sake, which, by the way, I think our gap on the Chiefs is like this. I think our defense is far superior than the Kansas City Chiefs. Although, even though they gave up 27 points to the Detroit Lions in the first half, they pitched a shutout in the second half. They adjusted. Okay?
Yep.
Bills.
Yep.
Chiefs for argument's sake, although I think
they're there, dude. Patrick Mahomes puts you over the top. He hasn't missed an AFC championship yet.
The two best quarterbacks in the NFL are Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and until that changes, they will be 1 and 2 in the AFC.
Agreed.
Then where do you go after that? Right here, the Miami Dolphins.
Right here. Yep.
The Miami Dolphins.
Then Ravens and Titans, at least in my opinion. After
I say then Ravens, then Chargers, then Titans. I think the Titans are the most fraudulent team in the NFL.
No. Ravens and Titans are better than Chargers, I think. I think
the Chargers are better than the Titans.
I would go Bills, Chiefs, Dolphins, Ravens, Bengals.
No Titans?
Titans are terrible. Titans are the most fraudulent team in the NFL, man.
This is like college football. This is not.
No, I know. But, hey, Derrick Henry will win you playoff games. I know, but their defense is real, and their head coach is real, and their run game is real. I know they don't have a quarterback.
I love Mike Vrabel. That's my guy.
I get a run game.
Regardless, here, give me your top 8 teams. Top 8 teams. I'll go. Bills, Chiefs, Dolphins, Ravens. I'll give you Titans, Bengals, Chargers, Jets, or Patriots.
I go Bills, Chiefs, Dolphins, Ravens, Chargers, Bengals, then the Titans. Then what do I need? 2 more? All the rest of them suck. So who even cares?
I'm not gonna lie. This is tough. Like this is actually tough.
Bunch of bums. Not worried about them.
But what I'm saying, it's a consensus. We're the 3rd best team in the AFC.
We also have the 3rd best quarterback in the AFC.
NFC, we'd be the 1 or 2 seed. I mean, obviously the Eagles are undefeated. Do
you want to blast pie that or blast past that smoke? We got the 3rd best quarterback in the AFC. If I'm missing somebody, let me know.
All right, let's see. Where does Tua rank? This is a great topic.
Let me know.
Hey, tell me if I'm wrong. This is a Bills fan. Bills, Chiefs, Dolphins, everyone else. Exactly. 100%.
Simple.
In that order.
No, Jay's right. You're not going to find another quarterback.
Jay, that's great because before, and I'm guilty of it, when we did the rankings for quarterbacks
in the offseason,
I didn't have Tua top 8. I think I had him top 10. I don't know if I had him top 8. All right. I personally believe Josh Allen.
Oh, I forgot about Lamar, who does some things with his legs, doesn't have receivers right now. I still take 2 over him this year. Am I crazy for that? I don't know. Lamar and Tua are like.
Let's do top 7.
Okay.
Top 7. I got Allen, Mahomes.
You got Allen over Mahomes?
Ooh. Yeah, I think Josh Allen's the best.
I do as well.
I think I actually have Allen as my favorite for MVP, but if you just want me to take a quarterback to win a game, give me Mahomes, man. I think that guy's fantastic. But
he's
all right, now this is no order. After that, there's no order. I'm just gonna name the quarterbacks I see. Lamar,
Burrow and Herbert.
Herb.
There's no one from the South. Don't even look at the South.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6. Derek Carr.
Nope.
Yeah, not this year, bro. Fuck no. He just got shut out by the Saints.
Maybe Watson off suspension. Like he hasn't even played football in 2 years.
Nope.
Point is, like Tua's in that conversation. He's
He's top 4,
he's
no
got the
doubt.
same amount of touchdowns as Justin Herbert, one less pick, and he's missed 2.7 games. He beat Lamar. He beat Josh Allen this year.
Sunned him.
Probably would have beat freaking Joe Burrow, bro. But he didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Because he got
No, he
knocked
did.
out.
Bro, Chris
He's
Sims
up
had
there.
this.
Like the argument is there to be made is the whole point. It's Josh Allen, Mahomes, and then you could make the argument for Tua against everyone else.
Yep.
And at the beginning of the year, some people weren't even
That wasn't
ranking
even
him in
a
the top
thing.
32.
You weren't talking about Tua and Herbert. You weren't talking about Tua and Burrow. You weren't talking about Tua and Lamar.
It went from
This
it went
is
from comparing
insane what he's doing.
it went from comparing Tua and Mac Jones and Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, where
Yes.
now you're comparing with Tua, with Burrow,
Yes.
Herbert, Mahomes, Allen. Because I beg you, every single advanced metric chart, you just look in the quadrant. It's just Tua, Mahomes, and Allen, always just in the same quadrant.
In a
I know I
different
keep saying-
stratosphere.
Literally,
Yeah,
it's crazy. And by the way, so we are saying he's improved, and we're not trying to buy into what all the numbers say, because the numbers are actually saying he's better than what we're even saying, which is crazy. But it just backs up that he has improved significantly. And again, if you're just saying this year he's better than Herbert, if you want to say in general Herbert's better, the gap is closed significantly. And by the way, if Tua continues to play like he is right now, one, he might be in the MVP race because, he's playing how he's playing. And two, you won't want to have to deal with me, some guys on Twitter, Smoke, Bobby, about talking about Tua versus Herbert. Because if it continues as it's going right now, Tua shits on Herbert. At least as of right now. You cannot tell me, if you've actually watched the games, that you think that Herbert has played better than Tua Tagovailoa this year. You couldn't tell me that.
All boxes checked except availability. Bingo. That's the last box he needs to check. And he's got to win in December and January, obviously. But with this team and the way it's constructed, I think he can. I mean, bro, we went into Buffalo last year, and we had an opportunity to take the lead at halftime.
Yep.
And that was with freaking Mac Hollins, Isaiah Ford, like bums. Like we ain't going in there with bums. Like this is a football team from head to toe. And honestly, I don't want to sound like too greedy, but I would have loved, and I feel like we say this every year, to see where this team would be at if Tua never got hurt. Like I don't want to play the coulda, shoulda, woulda game, because our future is ahead of us, and it is so damn bright that I'm gonna put my sunglasses on or my shades on. Like that's how bright this future is. But sometimes I kind of look back and I'm like, what if we had him the whole Bengals game, the Jets game,
He'd be MVP right now.
Vikings game?
Yeah.
It's like, damn, like, could we really be 6-1? 7-1? Like it's like 6-2. It's crazy, bro. Because I believe if he plays one of those games, we steal one of those 3 that we lost in a row.
At a minimum.
At a minimum, I would agree. At a minimum, just look what the numbers speak for themselves. The numbers are good and great, but look at the wins and losses, man. He just wins games, plain and simple as that. So I think at minimum, like you said, this is all dumb, garbage fan talk, woulda, coulda, shoulda. But realistically, you got to think he wins one of those bare minimum. Maybe all 3 if we want to start talking crazy. We could be undefeated sitting here right now with Tua with a full healthy schedule playing every single game.
And God knows what the media would be saying then.
But hey, it didn't happen. And like Smoke said, we're looking forward.
5-3.
And we're ready to go. Still 5-3. Time to beat the Bears. And then, like you said, this middle of the schedule, if we stack these W's how we're supposed to, and we're 8-3 sitting right there where we're supposed to be, it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful sight. And that's the trajectory we're on at this point. It's a different measuring stick at this point, man.
Bills fan Joshua, do you think Tua is capable of playing Euro ball and putting team on his back? Did you watch the Ravens game? Watch the Lions game? Did you see the throw that he made on 3rd and 23 to Jalen Waddle against your Buffalo Bills? You check that box.
Exactly.
Check that box.
And by the way, we are not overgassing this guy. If he wasn't doing the things he was doing, I'd be up here saying, "Has
Dude,
I'm for year 3."
I take not pride or joy, but I believe us as a show, we love calling it how we see it. Like when Tua sucks, like when he didn't play good against the Steelers, me and Bobby were like, bro, like Tua had a terrible game against the Steelers. But when you're looking at the macro of the season, this is the best that Tua's ever looked. So why are we
numbers?
not?
Yeah, go for it. Rip him off.
Go ahead. Wait, let me read the super chat. Thank you. Try hard. 7. You're 11.
Go.
Tyreek breaks the receiving record. Tua balls out. We win the Super Bowl. That's the ultimate F you to all the media that counted us. Yes, sir.
Sorry, really
Just
quickly,
imagine that.
just before you rattle off these stats too, because this will lead you right into that. If Tua continues to do what he does, there's a real chance that he wins MVP. And I hate that he missed games, but that will just add to that narrative because you can say they're 0-3 without this guy. They could not win without this guy. If he goes out and puts up stats, which he's on pace to do, 33 touchdowns, 8 picks, 4,500 yards, and we're like the second team or third team in the AFC, he has a real shot at MVP because he missed those games and how terribly we performed in those games. He has a real shot at it. Which is, who thought we'd be saying that, man, before the year?
100%.
Let's go, man. Woo.
And we're not talking crazy. This isn't just blowing smoke out of your ass. When you have a guy that's number 1 in passer rating, number 1 in QBR, number 1 in expected points added, number 1 in DVOA, number 1 in yards per attempt, number 1 in adjusted net yards per attempt, number 1 on passer rating on third down, number 1 in passer rating in the fourth quarter, number 1 in expected points added in the fourth quarter. Like, those are real numbers. I'm not just making this up.
I don't even know what half of those mean. But I heard number 1 in third down efficiency and number 1 in fourth quarter efficiency. That's all I care about, dude. I don't care if Tua has 45 touchdowns, 12,000 yards. Be efficient on third down. Make good decisions. Slide when you have to. Throw daggers like you did against Buffalo when you have to. Put us on your back when you have to, like you did against the Ravens.
Yep.
That's what I care about. I'm an eye test guy. I'm not a stat guy. And everyone's entitled to their own opinion and how they evaluate. And sure, being number 1 in QBR and quarterback passer rating, that definitely helps your argument. But that's showing me it's reflecting on what he's done. Like,
when the eye test matches the stats, that's when you know it's real. When the eye test matches the stats.
Quarterbacks that could just pad the stat sheet and you watch him play and you're like, dude, this guy really had 340 yards and a touchdown. Like, this guy looks like dog shit. We got 170 people watching live. Thank you guys. If you haven't already, smash that like button, gentlemen and ladies. Hit that like button to help it grow. Drop a comment below if you think Tua could take us to the Super Bowl. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. We're trying to hit 4,000 subs. And the only way we could do that is with your guys' help. So we talked about Tua, talked about Bradley Chubb. But Jay, I want to give you the floor because to everyone that watches this show, they know that before the trade deadline, you said the Miami Dolphins should trade for Jeff Wilson. I want to ask you, one, how big of a role is he going to play? And what is the difference that we're getting in him that we didn't have in Chase Edmonds?
Well, take in what you thought Chase Edmonds was going to be before the season started, which is a guy who can pass block, a guy who can catch passes out of the backfield and can still be an efficient running back. That's what you're getting out of Jeff Wilson. And for the people who don't know Jeff Wilson, take Raheem Mostert, lower speed attributes by 2, and that you're still getting Jeff Wilson because he's still very, very quick. Don't get it twisted. Like, he's still very, very quick. He's just on that Mostert level, explosive. And the thing with this, and I've been preaching it because we don't have a 4th round pick. So to get Kareem Hunt, it would have had to been a 3 because we have 2 3s from that Devontae Parker trade. For a 5, we get Jeff Wilson. And obviously I could be wrong. I was wrong about Chase Edmonds, but on paper, Jeff Wilson will give you very efficient and elite production under the scheme, and he'll give you similar production to what Kareem Hunt would have done here because he knows the scheme that well. I think we can all say, and I think you guys would agree with me, that Chase Edmonds is a very talented running back. He clearly didn't fit here, but in the Cardinals, he was a very, very good running back.
I mean, I wouldn't say he didn't fit. The man couldn't catch the fucking ball.
No, but he also struggled
to fit the ball in between his gloves and hold on to it.
He also struggled to run in the scheme, though. He couldn't pick the holes. The vision was not there.
He was blind as a bat.
That's what I'm talking about.
All around, not good.
Jeff Wilson, who has played under Mike McDaniel for 3 years, and I'm pretty sure more in San Francisco, he already knows the scheme. I talked about how Raheem Mostert knows the scheme, and that's his biggest asset to being RB1 on this team. I still thought Chase Edmonds would outdo that because I thought he was going to learn the scheme. He clearly did not. But look at what Raheem Mostert's doing on these outside zone runs. That's what you'll get with Jeff Wilson because this is a guy who can do all those things that Mostert does, find the right holes, and burst. He has explosiveness, man. This guy's really, really fast. I don't want to compare him to Mostert because Mostert's just on another level, but he's still very explosive, very, very quick. And then you also get a guy who can catch the ball in the backfield and is still a good pass blocker. So you're getting what you thought Chase Edmonds would be. And it's clear that Mike McDaniel wanted to go out and get this guy. Clearly, the Denver Broncos, it was basically reported that they really wanted Chase Edmonds, which is fine. They probably see talent in him, so we got rid of him. Then you need a running back after that. We go out and get the best guy for the scheme. I know this is a player who doesn't have a flashy name like Kareem Hunt, a flashy name like Cam Akers. but he's been averaging 5.1 yards per carry this year with a beat up 49ers offensive line that hasn't performed that well. And he was playing with Trey Lance at the beginning of the year, who's a running quarterback in himself. So he's taking touches away himself. He was still averaging 5.1 yards per carry, and that's what you'll expect. This is a guy who Mike McDaniel saw it didn't work with people who don't know the offense, and now you have a guy who knows it so well to the point where I'm not even worried about him in this game. He'll probably have some production in this game. If you want to know about the touches, Chase Edmonds was still getting like 6 to 8 touches a game when Mostert was getting 10 to 12, 12 to 14 type thing. That's exactly what Jeff Wilson will get. He'll get 6 to 8 touches at a minimum and maybe more because it might be more 50-50. I still think Raheem Mostert's more talented as running back and more explosive. But the thing is, obviously, we have to shelter his touches because of his injury history because, man, is he injury prone. But now you have a guy who can take up those snaps and still be effective. You'll no longer get into a situation where like, oh, shit, we got to put Edmonds in. Now you'll have Mostert well rested. If he gets tired after having a couple of big runs, you go and you put Jeff Wilson, he'll be able to replace
Edmonds
it.
Line up on third down.
And it's great. And you'll have Jeff Wilson now. So everything I expected, if you learned about Chase Edmonds in the offseason, that's where you're getting Jeff Wilson. And it's a guy who I wanted really badly because you don't have to pay a third-round pick, but you're going to get the similar amount of production. It was the best bang for your buck option. You get a guy. Oh, yeah. Like I've said already. I was just going to go on and on and on.
Dude, and the beautiful thing is now we can ride the hot hand a little bit. Like, he's a comparable running back. Say Wilson gets it going a little bit.
Yep.
Give him the ball. Ride the hot hand. Running back by committee. I'm cool with that. I love Mostert, and I love what he's done on this team. But if Wilson comes in and starts snapping a little bit, I'm cool with a 50-50. I don't think it's going to be that because I like the way Chase has been playing. But adding just another talented back that fits the scheme so well, all that does is boost this Miami Dolphins offense. So I'm fired up. I know Jay's fired
and it grows
up.
the chemistry in the running back room too.
The offensive line is also getting going right now. They're learning the scheme too. Yep. They're getting going. They're obviously Brandon Shaw's created some stability at right tackle, and the wide receivers are talking about in the offseason how this is probably the most difficult playbook for them to have learned, and that was definitely the same for the offensive linemen. As the season progresses, you'll see that the offensive line will continue to grasp the run game, and the run game's only going to get better. And our pass game's already elite, right? So this is just going to help our run game become what it should have been because we had Tyreek Hill in the offseason and we thought, okay, we're probably still going to be at least a 50-50 run pass team. And we've been heavy on the pass so far, and why not? Obviously, you have Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback. But now we have a chance to really balance this thing out and have some long drives and really have a guy to have the ball on first.
Just someone that's better than freaking dump ass Chase Edmonds that'll catch the ball out of the backfield and hit the right hole. Last thing that I want to talk about, and I don't want to talk too much about it because we have 7 minutes left, and I want everyone back here on Friday for Fired Up Friday for the Chicago Bears Miami Dolphins preview, right here live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time Zone. Be here, be square. Let's talk about it just a little bit. Now, the Bears, they don't have Roquan. That is a huge blow. What, Jay?
I'm sending you something on the group chat. I don't know if we want to get into it today. I think apparently Xavier Howard has been stalked, threatened, and has had his home trespassed by his STD accuser, according to new court filings. Howard's attorney calls the entire lawsuit a shakedown and has asked for the case to be dismissed. So basically saying he's fighting back and saying this woman is just trying to, well, I'm assuming woman, obviously. I haven't read the court filings, but this person is basically just doing a shakedown and just trying to get some money out of it. Because I know we talked about that before.
Wow. So maybe X doesn't have herpes, or maybe he does have herpes and he gave it to a crazy bitch that just wants a fat paycheck.
He's getting black.
That is way too deep to bring up with 7 minutes, Jay. Like that's the intro for Fired Up Friday. Like that itself is a 20-minute conversation.
Sorry, I know.
I just not playing for the Bears.
What a curveball.
No Robert Quinn.
How big of a difference does that make for the Miami Dolphins? Did we not low-key hit the lottery that he got traded the week before we play the Bears?
I mean, I think he's without a doubt the best player on their roster. Easily. The best player on their roster. He
leads the league in tackles.
Unbelievable linebacker. And not having to go up against someone like that is a blessing. Do I think the Dolphins still go into Chicago and roll with Roquan on the Smith on the field? I absolutely do. But now that he's gone, perfect, beautiful, lovely. We should be able to pound the ball against these guys. No Robert Quinn either, like Jay was saying. This is a team that knows where they're at this point. They're selling assets. They're wanting draft capital. They're trying to build this thing up from the bottom. As Dolphins fans, we know how that goes. We've been there many a times. And it's nice. We're going to walk in there, and we should get it done. We can't overlook them. The Bears still an NFL team, and as we know, anything can happen on Sundays. But I feel great going into this game. I feel absolutely great going into this game.
I have a question for you guys. Can you name a middle linebacker on the Chicago Bears now?
No.
Exactly. And guess what Tua does? The RPO. Oh, man. These linebackers.
And all we do is throw the ball over the middle of the field.
They're going to be
Imagine
shot.
the concepts that they're going to.
Imagine. So I know one. Nicholas Morrow. This guy, not that good, obviously, clearly. They're just rebuilding. He's a nobody. He's a depth guy on any team. He's starting for them. You don't think this guy is going to be confused as hell when Tua's holding the ball at the last second, takes it, rips it to Waddle over the middle? Tua Tagovailoa is probably the best passer over the middle this year. And now they're going up against not Roquan Smith. They're going up against nobody's at the linebacker position. No disrespect to those guys, but I asked you guys, you have no idea. Like I had no idea either. You don't think Tua is going to disrespect these guys? You don't think Tua is going to have the passing game going over the middle of the field because that's where we prosper? They have nobody. They have nobody who can cover Tyreek Hill. They have nobody who can cover Jalen Waddle. And they have no linebackers to supplement that. Not to mention, like Bobby was saying, you don't think the run game's going to get going against this linebacking core? Like, come on now. So the fact that Roquan Smith isn't playing is a huge plus. You love the fact that Robert Quinn isn't playing just because obviously we'll have more protection. This is a game where Tua should replicate what he did against the Lions. Obviously, it's going to be tough to replicate perfection. So that's going to be a little bit tough. But as long as he does something close to what he did against the Lions, I'm cool with it. Get the win, get out of there. Let's go beat the Browns, get some rest.
Ooh.
And then go win the rest of this game. I don't know what's happening to Smoke right now.
My back is cramped.
Guys having a back spasm.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
Well, I guess we can add you to the injury report too.
It's long enough. Might as well throw another one.
We didn't even check the injury report.
Isn't that nice?
It's long. It's a receipt.
Let's see. I want to see the receipt.
It's not great, but it's a receipt.
Oh, my God. That thing.
The Bears got 4 players. We have, 16? Something like that?
Yeah, I'll go through it quick. Armstead, Craycraft, Xavier, Melvin, Austin Jackson, and John Jenkins all did not practice today. And then for the limited guys, you got Jerome Baker, Bradley Chubb, Tanner Connor, Raekwon Davis, Pendulum, Mostert, Shell, Durham Smythe, Van Ginkel, Jeff Wilson, all limited. And then the full participants, Javon Holland, Ogba, Sealer, Waddle, Wilkins. The same old Dolphins list you always see on Wednesdays.
Everyone's
a lot of limited guys. We're going to be okay. By Friday, I expect that list to be down to 3-4 names that are maybe questionable. You know how this goes. It's nice to not have to talk for 15 minutes about the Dolphins injury report. They're starting to get a little healthier. Bigger things are popping off in Miami right now, so we could save that for Friday. We'll obviously cover it a little bit, but it's nice that it's not the number one fucking concern for this team at the moment.
Without setbacks, we'll be fine. I expect everyone to play, except for Austin Jackson.
The thing that I want to see most, because I anticipate the Miami Dolphins to go into Soldier Field and beat the living piss out of the Chicago Bears. The biggest thing that I want to see is the Dolphins to have at most 3 penalties. I want to see if they could go out there and play a game where the ref isn't throwing 12 to 15 flags a game. Mm-hmm. That is the biggest thing I want to see. So give me your one quick hitter because we have 1 minute left. This is a mini preview to the Bears preview. What's one thing you want to see fixed on Sunday against the Bears?
I'd like to run the football for over 150 rushing yards against the Chicago Bears.
Love it.
I would like to tackle the Chicago Bears. Let's tackle here, boys. Because missed tackles and tackling has been an underlying theme of this whole year, like penalties have been. We've already touched on penalties, so I'm not going to go after that. The red zone has been relatively fixed. We'll see if that continues. It should. To be honest, I don't see the Bears causing us any problems. The red zone should be fine. So right now, the only 2 issues that have been going on for the whole year have been the pass rush, which has been solidified now that we have Bradley Chubb.
Facts.
I was trying to put that up too. 100%.
And now, Bradley Chubb should fix that. So now we have 2 things that are wrong with this team. Penalties, missed tackles. So let me see some tackling.
Yep. All right, well, that's going to do it. Thank you, everyone that watched live. If you haven't already, please hit that like button. It's going to mean so much. Comment if you think Tua could take us to the Super Bowl. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Please, we're trying to hit 4K. And again, thank you guys so much for giving me an hour of your day. I know how valuable your time is, and I will never, ever, ever take that for granted. So thank you so much. To everyone that donated, God bless you. To the chat, God bless you. To Dean, God bless you and your son. I'm glad everything is working out. And as always, fins up.
Fins up, baby. Come on now.
Yes, sir, baby. Fins up.